Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and I still have one more day to get Winter Soldier's potential. So I don't want to make a level 70 video on him yet, because spoiler alert, he's not good at level 70. He's really not good at level 70, and I reckon that he's not even good at level 80. We've seen this before. It's been a while since we've seen one this bad, like in the vein of a Moon Knight or a Blue Dragon, but he's one of the characters that just really needs tier 4 to, you know, be even like, you're like, is it a new character yet, right? Like, did he actually get a buff? And then you get him to tier 4 and you're like, holy crap. It's a lot to expect. Obviously, it's like it's a lot to spend to get there, but you can sort of see it in the skill when you have a number like, you know, 70% damage dealt increase on his tier 4, and that scales up to 120%. You can kind of understand why he kind of needs the tier 4 to get there, because the rest of his stats and this sort of thing wasn't buffed that much, right? To the tune of 120%. So I'll probably, well, I pretty much, spoiler alert for tomorrow's video, will be tier 4ing Winter Soldier in that video. I'll do a level 80 showcase, and then we'll tier 4 him. But yeah, I do think that he's going to be a rage merchant, an ABX ABL merchant. So if that kind of stuff doesn't interest you as a combat male villain, then, you know, you probably want to pass on this one anyways, because he has no support buffs. He does have a better leadership now, and that's also another sort of adjacent plus for tier 4ing him, is you get a pretty nice 45% all attack lead for world boss content whenever you can use, you know, either leadership, combat, or villain tags. Now, as far as how he's going to compare to the existing combat villain male meta, because there's no combat female villain metas, or just in general, he's probably on par. It seems like he's on par with Dr. Octopus and Hulk. The more testing that gets done, the closer he becomes to basically being their equal. And keep in mind, both Dr. Octopus and Hulk have a team-up collection. So they are, you know, they're performing better or as good or better with an extra 5% pierce, an extra 10% pierce, etc., depending on what you have. I would fathom a guess, although I don't have the exact data to prove this. You know, we don't have evidence of this because it requires a very specific type of account, that if there was someone out there who had, you know, no team-up collections built for some reason, but they had tier 4 Hulk and tier 4 Dr. Octopus and tier 4 Winter Soldier, and they had the same build on all three, Winter Soldier would probably be outscoring Hulk and Dr. Octopus. That's my guess anyways. So just keep that in mind. You know, even Venom, for example, for the days where it's not a villain that you need, but it's like a combat male or a combat human, even Venom has access to 2 team-up collections. So Winter Soldier is really punching above his weight when you consider all of that. He is a bit harder to play than Hulk, because Hulk is pretty much the easiest to play out there, but he's also easier to play than Dr. Octopus, so it's like somewhere in the middle. Again, none of this matters if you don't care about ABX ABL merchants, but obviously if you just want a tier 4 Winter Soldier because you think he's really cool, then do your thing. I could also speculate that there's a possibility he gets another uniform for Thunderbolts. I'm a little bit 50-50 about this, although we did talk about Captain Falcon and what they did for him, releasing the Zombies uniform as a villain and then swapping him back to hero. I think they could absolutely do that to Winter Soldier. I think they may keep him as a combat type, and just from now on his uniforms are combat, but they change him back into a hero, so he has the flexibility to do both of those things. And maybe they make him more PvP oriented with this Thunderbolts uniform for Sebastian Stan's like kind of hair down look. We'll see. But I also think they maybe could skip on him, because there's so many characters to upgrade from Thunderbolts, and we've seen them recently be very stingy with MCU updates and not really go that far, you know, upgrading and releasing new characters and upgrading uniforms more than is totally necessary to capture the sort of essence of the update, right? You know, for example, like Deadpool and Wolverine, that was a really big update, but they didn't go any further than Deadpool, Wolverine, and Cassandra, even in the mid-month and things like that, after spoilers were no longer an issue, despite the fact that we see Blade appear in the movie, Elektra, we see Gambit, you know, we see all these guys show up. None of them got like a nostalgia trip uniform, this sort of thing. They did keep it pretty tight and pretty lean. So I definitely think there's a possibility. I'm not really like one way or another rooting for Winter Soldier to get or not get a uniform for Thunderbolts in a few months. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's very possible the next team up collection is Thunderbolts. Remember, the team up collections by and large don't double dip. There are, like, obviously there are a couple of double dips with Venom and Spider-Man, but these are very, very popular, very, very marquee characters. For the Thunderbolts, there's basically zero marquee characters. There are zero very few popular characters. That's kind of the whole point of the Thunderbolts, is that they're kind of like the B team, the C team. So there's not going to be essentially double dipping, but it also means there's not really going to be a better chance than the Thunderbolts movie for them to release a new team up collection. And it fits with their timeline of releasing one, you know, about every 4 to 6 months. Because the last one, the Symbiote one, was released in November for the Symbiote update. December, January, February, March, April, and then May. So that would be, in this case, 6 months, but it was the end of November. So yeah, it does sort of fall in line. And that would give Winter Soldier access to a team-up collection, along with the likes of, you know, Yelena, Red Guardian, Taskmaster, you know, the Thunderbolts, right? Maybe Sentry finally gets a team-up collection, so that even if he doesn't get a uniform, he can compete better with Null, because now he has access to team-up collection, which Null gets first. You kind of see how this goes back and forth. It starts to make a lot of sense for them to release a Thunderbolts team-up collection. And so that at that point, I think Winter Soldier could actually just gain value. Now, that doesn't necessarily, like, I don't want to say that to make you FOMO into buying this uniform. Not at all. Not at all. I'm just, you know, letting you know. It's not a seasonal uniform. So if all of what I'm speculating does happen, then you can just pick up this uniform. Or if he gets a better uniform for Thunderbolts and it fits the same criteria for ABX ABL merchants or whatever you want to use the character for, you can then just buy it then in May, right? And actually, it's probably better to wait anyways, now that I'm thinking about it, because in May there will be a 50% discount instead of a 40% discount. So yeah, honestly, I think I just talked the majority of people out of buying this uniform whatsoever. I think the only people that it makes sense, at least from where I'm standing, to buy this uniform are ABX ABL merchants and people who really like Winter Soldier. Obviously, if you really like the character, go nuts, right? But for people who are looking for value and are looking for sort of like the logic pipeline, it makes sense to wait. Like, if I didn't have this channel, I would 100% wait. I wouldn't tier 4 him now. I would get him to 80. I would save my resources, and then I would wait until May, and I would see, does Thunderbolts team up happen? Does he get another uniform? How much better does it make him? And then boom, invest, right? Invest there. And in the meantime, I would invest in other characters. So that's kind of my take on Winter Soldier and the sort of things that are happening. I wanted to give you guys a couple of updates on other things as well that don't really fit neatly into a video timeline. The devs have decided to go to war with us in a way. I'm being dramatic, of course, but they did not update the version in game. It's still 10.7.0. Now, what does that mean? Well, it could mean a couple of things. It could mean that they know that we have caught on to their pattern and they don't necessarily want us to know when the next full update is happening. So they're doing this to kind of disguise when the updates happen. I'm not a big fan of this one necessarily. It's a tiny bit misleading to players. And every time you update the version and you have to download a new patch, you should update the version here so that it makes sense sequentially and chronologically. That's a bit of like a data analyst kind of take. I know it's not the strongest take, but there's that. On the other hand, it's possible that they just forgot. Incompetence is always a possibility when it comes to Netmarble and Marvel Future Fight, so you can't really put it past them to have just plumb forgot about it. That's also on the table. But because of that, we're not 100% sure that we're getting a second mid-month or not. However, again, the evidence is very strong. You can't be 100% sure, but the evidence is very, very strong, almost certain that there will be, again, a second mid-month. It feels like we've had, the sort of double mid-month, the extended 6-7 week cycle updates now 3 times in a row. It feels like every update for the last 3 updates has been so excruciatingly long. And the reason why I say there's a lot of evidence for that is because, one, we don't have the token event. We have it here, but we still haven't gotten it for the P card, the CTP, the Mega Tier 2 ticket. So that token event still has to happen, has to cycle through for 7 days before we can even dive into the next update. We also still have the this check-in event with more than a week on it, basically 2 weeks still on it. And again, this has to cycle all the way to the end before a new update. And we still have 2 weeks on the Future Pass. So that would put us at 2 weeks on the Future Pass ending. And then they start doing sneak peeks. And from there, it's another week before the next update. So that does put the next update at 3 weeks, essentially 3 weeks from now. So that puts the next update at the 11th, I believe. I think it should be like the 11th, 12th of March. That is, that's a ways away, boys. That is a ways away. Yeah, it feels like it's gonna be. And again, it's from here to there, to the 11th of March, with just one more update in between. And that one more update could genuinely just be Red Hulk Tier 4. We don't know what it is. There's no data mined or none that I've seen. But it's probably just going to be like one new Tier 4 or 1 to 2 near 4s. 1 to 2 new Tier 4s. That's all. So, yeah, a bit brutal there, but we'll have to wait and see. Another piece of evidence, again, to support the idea that there's another mid-month is that the data in-game for the personal collector's vault has not been populated in the data mine, in the game files. Again, that could be the devs hiding it from us. Maybe they got better at that finally. Who knows? They never really tried. Or maybe it means what we usually think it means. Finally, I just want to quickly address the event quest that's going on right now, the World Boss event quest, where you get these limited tokens. You can only get 300 tokens, I believe. And so when you go in here and you look, there are 2 emblems you can buy. This one is 200 tokens, and the Ebony Maw one is 350 or 400 tokens. And essentially, you cannot buy, even if you get all of the tokens from the event, you cannot buy the Ebony Maw emblem. And the Ebony Maw emblem, like the last emblem event that we had for Corvus and Proxima, is the stronger of the 2. It's the one that just gives you a flat buff like a comic card that starts at 4% energy attack and scales up from there. Now, it's obviously very difficult with the very limited, but you know, with the gambling that I've done and the farming that I've done of emblems, I still only have 50 mythic emblem data. So as you can see here, I can't upgrade it much, but you can see it goes all the way up to 5% without even gaining a star. So this is going to go up to, I don't know, it's like 15% or 20%. It ends up being a pretty big number of energy attack that it just provides you for all content, like the Corvus one that does physical attack. Now, technically, these are farmable. Ebony Maw and Black Dwarf's emblems are farmable from their World Boss Legend Plus stage. But for most players, that's going to take you a long time because this is the most difficult boss right now, and it's a Tier 4 only game mode. So when you queue in, you can only see your Tier 4 roster, which means your supports and leaderships are going to be drastically reduced. So we're probably going to have to wait for better supports like, you know, Nick Fury, White Fox, Coulson, etc. to get Tier 4 before we'll be able to much more easily climb this kind of content. But once you can climb this content at level 50 and 60, you get the the Black Dwarf drop to happen. And then, so this one drops at 50 once, and then at 60 again once, and then at 70 and 80, this one drops, and then at 90, they both drop. I believe they both drop at 90. So you can technically farm them, but I just wanted to point out to you guys that unfortunately, if you don't spend money, if you don't buy one of the token packs, then you have no way of getting Ebony Maw's emblem during this event. You can only get Black Dwarf's event. I would say in that case, again, consider what you want. Black Dwarf's is not as good, but it's still pretty good. It gives you 7% increased physical attack for World Boss, and you can see how that scales up by just applying the same logic here to Proximas. I have quite a bit more emblem data for legendaries because they're not as rare, and you can see here at 5 stars, it gives me 32% increased energy attack. So that means that, you know, once you get the Black Dwarf emblem up to max rank, it's going to give you close to 40% physical attack for World Boss. that is a lot. That is a very big boost. It is, you know, if it's worth it to you and you have the emblem data, but you don't want to climb, I would say pick it up. If you can spend a little bit of money and you can, you know, to buy some extra tokens so that you can get ebony moths, you can also consider that one, since it's much harder to get than black dwarfs. You have to climb up to 70 versus 50, which is a huge gap. I have seen a lot of people just rushing to the artifact selector as well. This is a very good item, the artifact selector, the 5-star selector. Again, it's I think it costs all of your tokens, or you may have to buy a small pack for $20 to get an extra 100 tokens. But this is one of the strongest lists of characters for an artifact selector we've ever seen, because you have Null, which is obviously insane. You have Agent Venom, which is an insane support. You have Carnage, which is, you know, needed. It's BIS for him for PvP. Magic, which is BIS for her for PvP. Spider-Man, which is essentially BIS for him for PvP. And then you also have some ABL content here with Gambit. So pretty nutty range of characters. And then you have ones that are like not so bad. Like Amor's is pretty good. Venom's is pretty good. This one's pretty good. Not necessarily that these characters are that good, but, you know. And even Bullseye. Actually, Bullseye's is BIS as well. Although they gave away his 4-star one for free. So I don't see a lot of people using the 5-star selector on him. So a lot of really good things to get in this event. Unfortunately, they're being pretty stingy with the tokens, kind of baiting you to buy these packs. So yeah, just keep that in mind and sort of spend wisely. These packs themselves are pretty bad. They're pretty bad. They have at least they have a decent amount of crystals, but really it just feels like you're getting pickpocketed so that you can buy the item from the event that you want, which kind of sucks, because the events are supposed to be like events, right? It's not a spending event, it's a play event, and then you play the content and you get the tokens and you get to buy stuff. It's just that the stuff you can buy, there's like just like a way better, way shinier version of the thing that you're going to buy right next to it for slightly more. So yeah, I think they should tweak these events so that you can buy either black dwarfs or like you can buy either emblem with the tokens that you get. And then if the whales want to come out and buy both emblems, they would have to buy tokens. But anyways, that's just me. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about in today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the content, or the thumbs down if you hated it. And I'll see you in the next one. I'll see you, Tier 4 Winter Soldier. Armed and dangerous, or maybe the Summer Veteran. Thanks. Take care.